What's going on, everybody? Just to recap today's Legends Camp, the first one under Mario Cristobal. He made a point when he was addressing the campers and the recruits before it got started that this is not Paradise Camp. He said they're here to work. That was the message that he had throughout the week, where he just felt like this was going to be a good instructional camp. It wasn't one of these things where he wanted it to just kind of show up. So I'll get into some things that I noticed today. Before I talk about the recruits that were here, some big names that were here, some guys that I paid close attention to, I want to speak about some of the former players, and I thought it was just great to see these guys. There was a good 2 or 3 at every position group watching. Today I spent a lot of time with the running backs. I got some in-depth things on Coach Kevin Smith, and just listening to him, because he was out on this other field and he was the only one on the soccer field at the time, whereas the rest of the camp was on the Green Tree practice fields or inside. So I was able to get up pretty close, and just listening to him coach I thought was great. It's one of these underrated things with this camp, that it's not just about watching recruits or seeing the big names that are out here, but being able to hear how guys coach, and I thought it was good. I'm hoping I can put together a video for you so you can hear some of that audio, watching him coach and all the instruction that he gave. Former, obviously a big time career in college, but played in the NFL, so he had a lot of insight, and it was good. And there was a point he made, Don Chaney Jr. was out here helping out with the drills, and he kind of made a point to the recruits that you're trying to take his job, kind of thing. So it was just interesting that he said that, and basically it's his job to over recruit you and things like that, but just kind of saying how competitive it is at the college level. And no doubt, and Miami's current situation is a perfect example of that, with Henry Parrish coming in with Don Chaney and also Jalen Knight. And all 3 of these guys were the same year coming out of South Florida, and now they're all competing, and they've got other backs that are talented as well. So there's a lot of talent, a lot of competition at the running back spot. So there were 3 guys I was watching at the running back spot, with Christopher Johnson out of Dillard. I saw him at a private workout recently, earlier this month, but today I was able to watch him up close, go through a lot of drills, go through these individual drills with the running backs, where you're doing a lot of footwork things, a lot of technical things. And one of the things Coach Smith really emphasized to the group, and Chris was one of these guys, but just show patience behind the line of scrimmage and then use your burst. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of young backs, because you want to show off your speed, you want to hit the hole and go, and finding that patience and that, just that extra step with the hesitation or change in speeds certainly can pay dividends in the long run. And Coach Smith was very adamant about that today. It's not that you can't be fast, but just to pick the right spots and where to be fast. It was very good, I think, for these guys to learn that, just to hear it from a guy that's done it at the highest level. So watching Chris, he certainly looked good. He looked fast. That's the thing. Does this guy have the speed that everyone talks about? He's got great track speed. How did it look on the field? I thought he looked fast. I thought he had quick feet as well, going through the drills, the footwork things. And it was really cool seeing Duke Johnson and Lamar Miller watching these drills, 2 former guys that certainly did it well at the high school level and obviously college and the pros. I remember seeing their journey all the way throughout, seeing them as young players in high school. So it's just kind of the full circle with both of those guys being back out here, but certainly that's where these guys want to be. But Chris looked good in these drills, light on his feet, and then also it translated at the end of camp. They did a one-on-one drill, and I got some video of that, and I will be posting it to the channel. So as you can see, I had to put the sunglasses on, I had to switch cameras. It is hot out here. My cameras are overheating, and certainly I know the players have to feel hot as well. And it definitely was a warm one. It was in the morning today. So let's get back into it. At running back, Chris Johnson looked good. He did well on the one-on-one drills. He definitely showed his speed there, getting downfield, but also doing great out of his breaks. Certainly a lot of talent there. Definitely one of those guys you just want to see more of. Speed is there, but want to keep seeing the ability. I'm very curious to watch him more. And that's the thing with some of these other running backs. There were 2 other guys I was watching. It's Chauncey Bowens, 2024, and Isaac Brown, 2024 as well, with reported Miami offers. Both of those guys bring a lot to the table. Chauncey, a bigger back, certainly was doing well with his footwork, and he was one of those guys Coach really wanted to make sure he was doing good with his patience through the holes in these certain drills. And then Isaac Brown is a guy that I've seen out of Homestead. He's one of those guys, one of those running backs that can catch passes out of the backfield, showed quick feet today, a good burst. And it's very obvious when you watch Isaac go through any drills, you can see that burst. Obviously not as big as Chauncey, but definitely the burst is there, and he has a lot of ability. Saw that today. With the defensive backs, going into it, it was the group that I was most excited about. There were a lot of big names at safety and cornerback that were expected to participate, and not everybody was here for whatever reason. It wasn't exactly the way they expected it to be, the way I expected it to be. But I did see Damari Brown was here, but he wasn't participating. But I did get a look at Jameis Hamilton, a guy out of Dr. Phillips in Orlando, a guy that Miami's paid close attention to this month. I had a VIP article on the website about him, just said he was looking forward to it, and he's been to UM. This is now his third time this month that he's been down to UM, and certainly he was hoping to impress. And I did see him lock down on some one-on-one drills today. I saw him a little bit during the individual drills as well, but with him, he's a guy at 6'1" with good length, one of those guys that's starting to become more on the scene, picking up that Ole Miss offer. We will see if Miami extends the offer, but certainly one of those guys that is hoping to catch the eye of other coaches. He's got a lot of interest from other schools as well. Florida State are two other schools that have expressed interest at this time. We will see if he picks up offers, but I thought, again, against the competition, he did well today. We will see how that works out moving forward. There were two wide receivers I paid close attention to. So Miami commit Robbie Washington was here, but he didn't participate. But if you've seen the channel, you notice that I put highlights of that from the last camp where he went through the whole thing fully. So there's plenty of highlights on the channel on him. But it was good that he was out here. It's just good when guys are committed, that they're just always around the program. So that was good that he was out here. The two wide receivers I paid close attention to today was 2023 wide receiver Richard Dandridge, a Temple commit who wanted to come out here and impress. At 5'10", he showed his speed quite a bit in a lot of the drills. So certainly he's got to feel good about how he performed today and showcasing his abilities. And then the other one was a 2024 receiver, local guy out of St. Thomas Aquinas, who has a number of talented players in that class, and that's Chance Robinson. I thought he did good as well. A little bit bigger than Richard in terms of comparing sizes, but at the 2024 class, he's certainly going to be one of those guys to watch for moving forward. And certainly he did well. He also did well with his attributes, being a little bit bigger of a receiver, but also showing that speed that he had as well. The top quarterback I saw out here was Adrian Posse. He's a big-sized guy that a lot of people know about. We've paid attention to him over the years. He's been one of those guys that jumped onto the scene early with a bunch of offers. I've watched him throw a little bit. And one of these things with these camps, I wasn't as focused on him as I was the receivers, the DBs, and the running backs. But I did watch him go through some drills. Hopefully I can, the video I got is good enough to put the clips up on the channel so you guys can see for yourself how he throws the ball with it. He's about good 6'4", 6'5" guy, so he's definitely got good size at the position. And with these camps, there's a lot of young players that show up as well. There were two 2025, I can't believe we're saying that, but certainly they get down here for the camp. They're certainly interested in Miami, and they're also highly regarded guys to pay attention to if you want to start adding to your recruiting board in the future. But that's 2025 quarterback Colin Hurley. He was at Paradise Camp last year, and he made the trip again today for Legends Camp. He was out here. He obviously has certainly matured from a year ago, and that's how it is with young guys. They just kind of keep getting bigger, stronger, and maturing as they progress in their development. And then another 2025 guy that I'm very intrigued by is the linebacker Gavin Nix. He was out here. He did good on the one-on-ones. I watched him in drills, but I paid a lot of attention to some one-on-one stuff and how he was doing in coverage drills. As a linebacker, I thought he did a good job there. And certainly, like I said, both of those guys, I know it's young, I know they're young, I know it's early. You guys are all focused on the 23s, but if you're looking for a couple 25s in the future to pay attention to, those guys, it's good to get these guys on campus, but they do have abilities, and we saw it today. Sometimes with these guys, you hear about them and you know that people like them, but sometimes you don't always see their abilities flash. But with those two guys and a lot of the guys today, I saw what they brought to the table. Everyone's got their different skill sets, but I think that's my biggest takeaway. You got to see Chris Johnson and his speed. I touched on Gavin Nix and his ability to cover a little bit. And then also, Adrian Posse throwing the ball, Colin Hurley, and the other receivers and running backs. Everything that these guys bring to the table, we saw that today. And they got a lot of good coaching. That's my biggest takeaway as well, is just these coaches are here not just to show up and talk to people, but they want to provide as much instruction as they can. And they were definitely dialed in. These guys were giving as much instruction as possible. I said this in the last video at one of these camps where it definitely feels like they are talking to these recruits that aren't even committed the same way they talk to the guys on the current team when they're going through a regular practice. It just feels like, not that maybe that kind of intensity because it is a camp and everything involved, but just the level of instruction, the level of things that they're giving these guys, that's what stands out to me in watching these guys. Again, Kevin Smith, I watched him the most of the coaches today. but everybody was out here, so that was good to see. So just a few other things before wrapping this video up, but I saw some people working here, and I touched on the coaches and players helping out, but certainly a lot of staff members, involved in this as well. It takes a lot to put on a camp like this, and I think everything went pretty well. So definitely shout out to everybody involved with the camp, and obviously great that there was no rain, but they were able to go inside and out, which was good. So wrapping this thing up, Coach Cristobal talked to the reporters in the middle of the camp as they were getting started, and I was able to ask a question, so I'll talk about that. But he was definitely just excited that everybody was here, a lot of the former players. He just feels like for Miami to get right, he thinks it's very important for everybody to be involved, whether it's former players, people in the community, fans, administration, staff member, whatever it might be. He just feels like this is a collective effort to get Miami back to where he wants it to be, where he feels like Miami can be, where all of you feel like Miami should be. Other messages that he passed along, and the question I asked him was if there were any leaders, performing well during the summer workouts. And he definitely, he's not one to single out. I've learned that about him. He doesn't like to single out certain guys, so he didn't do that today when I asked him, but it was a question I just wanted to ask and see what he'd say. But he did say he very much complimented the players for all the work they're putting in. Essentially, he didn't use those terms, but essentially buying in to the new coaches. And he did say it's a demanding workout over the summer, and he just feels good. He had a lot of positives to say, which was good. He feels like the players are responding. And I feel like if they weren't, or if it's a little bit of a struggle, he would have made some sort of mention to that. Maybe not say these guys are terrible or anything like that. He would have just said, we've got work to do. And, I felt like he would have said something that maybe as a hint that maybe things are taking a little bit of time to progress and mesh with the new staff, but he didn't. And, he felt like the guys are doing well. Certainly want to compliment him. And he did touch, another question was about just how summer workouts are going, but he seemed pretty pleased. However, he did mention, this is only about the halfway point. They still got to finish the rest of July, as they get ready for fall camp there in August, but, there's still work to be done. They're not at the end yet, and he wants to see this team finish it off. And kind of a message he delivered was the work you do out here is going to kind of pay dividends during the season. I know every coach believes that, so I'm sure he's preaching that to the guys, and certainly that's a point of emphasis that he wants to get across to the players. Okay, my final thing I want to mention, great seeing all the former guys. There's a lot of guys I touched on earlier with Duke and Lamar, guys personally I got to see at the high school level and all the way through, and even covered when they come back as NFL players when I was doing Dolphins stuff. But also there were some other guys that I got a chance to see. Travis Benjamin, it was great seeing him. Obviously John Beese and Brian Monroe, it was great seeing those guys as well. But there was also other guys with different generations. Jeremy Shockey was here. Daryl Fullington was here. So it's good seeing a bunch of different guys. Michael Irvin gave a great speech. Hopefully the video turns out well enough. There were a lot of people in between, but I tried to go up high. Hopefully you guys can hear it. But he definitely gave one of those motivational speeches that you're expecting from Irvin, so that was good to see. But overall, it was just a lot of different generations of former Canes that were out here. Even a Greg Rousseau, Jalen Phillips were out here, the younger guys just into the NFL. So good to see. Overall, great event. I wish there were more players, but I always wish there were more players to watch. But I'm very happy with what I saw, and you definitely got to stay tuned to the video, to the channel, because I'm going to be posting full highlights on these individual players that I got a chance to really pay close attention to, as well as I hope to have some good one-on-one clips, some good highlights overall from the camp. I didn't get to pay too much attention to the offensive line and defensive line. I did pop inside to take a look at them, but I can only be at one place at one time. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get as much information there. And there were some other positions as well. But for the most part, pretty happy with how it went. I was glad to be out here. This kind of wraps up the summer camp circuit over here at UM. Shout out to everybody that's been watching these videos. Stay tuned. But once again, you've got to stay locked into the website. That's where you're going to find tons of VIP content. We got a sale right now for a yearly subscription. So definitely take advantage of that. And I do want to mention something small, but definitely something that helps me out. If you want to buy me a coffee, there's a link below in the description. You can do that just to show your support. I definitely need more coffee because today was an early start. Did not sleep much. I've got more work to do, but definitely stay tuned. Thanks again for everybody for watching, and take care.